Hey there. I'm gonna wait till about, I might just go ahead and start it out of respect for everybody's time, but I may have to stop and just let folks in. If you'd like to drop in the chat, if you own a daycare, you're thinking about opening a daycare, maybe you are gonna expand your current daycare, let me know. Okay, I've got it recording, so we'll go ahead. Oh, okay, all right, great. Oh, that's exciting. And there's money out there for that. There's pre-K, the pre-K grant. Um, Demetria, I had to see her here. I know there was a lot of money before for like home daycare centers. Like they were buying like the materials and stuff. Okay, I'm by myself tonight before I had Lisa, if you've been to one of these before. So I have to admit everybody myself. So while I'm taking some time to just let everybody in, it's trickling in. If you want to let me know in the comments if you're looking to open a center, you're looking to maybe expand your current center. I always like to leave the option. I'm just nosy and I want to be here. That's okay too. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I may have, like I said, I might have to pause and let some folks in, but I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Oh. I think I should be able to see if people are trying to pop in. Yeah. All right. Like I said, if you have been training with me in the last couple of weeks, okay, good. It does tell me. Okay. I usually have Lisa to help me. So I wanted to do some outside of Maryland Capital Enterprises. They're beautiful and amazing, but they do stuff for all types of businesses. And I wanted to make sure that we had a place for daycare owners in Maryland that we can kind of like ask questions and, just really be able to provide really awesome services for our families in Maryland. So, um, again, since I'm by myself, if you can just if you have questions, feel free to drop them in, and then I'll just kind of stop periodically if I see some in there, and we'll do that. And then we'll do a little Q&A at the end. So tonight is about planning business 101. So, I've been in business for, 6 years, but I constantly am revising my business plan. So this definitely is for the person who's got, a center or two, but all the way to I'm just kind of thinking I want to open something on my own. So the first part is really about getting this rock solid business plan for your center. And I think some folks think, okay, well, I have a daycare, I'm licensed, I have, all the credentials that I need, I have the blocks and the art center and all of that. And then there's parents. And there is this kind of disconnect because I hear from one end, I hear it on the news and I hear it, social media that parents are really struggling to find childcare. I mean, I know my center, we have like 100 kids on a wait list right now. So, I mean, we're moving into another building, but like, I know that there's a need, right? And then we have the supply, but we still have childcare centers. Like we're just paycheck to paycheck. And, with a business that is in such need, like why are daycares in Maryland not making a ton of money? You know what I mean? So when we talk about our business plan, we don't want to gouge our parents, which, if this is your second or third time with me, I do not want to raise tuition. I also don't want to be chasing people down. I want to send people collections, like the moms, single moms, young families just in general today already have it tough. I don't want to be an additional like burden on them. I don't want to be doing that. But as a business owner, I need to make sure that I have a very firm business plan because I have daycare families, relying on me, but I also have a staff. Like I have to make sure that we are constantly bringing in money. So when I talk about business plans, I don't want it to just be, I want to open a daycare. I really want you to take some time and think really big about the vision that you have for how you want to serve families in your community. Whether you want to have a bunch of preschools, whether you want to have evening overnight care, whether you want to have a drop in, whether you want to have a center that serves medically fragile children, which is a huge need. But even beyond daycare, just an example for me, we want to be a place where, schools can come for field trips. So I'm thinking about how can we do our backyard? How can we do things in the building where, because we're closed during the day. So we could have either other daycares, we could have schools come. So I'm thinking about like that as a revenue stream. I'm a daycare on the Eastern Shore. We're very agriculture heavy down here. I'd love to be able to incorporate that into our daycare. We have a huge new backyard in our new place, and I'd love to be able to incorporate some of that. That might be a funding opportunity, whether it's a little farmer's market or we're growing flowers and being able to sell them to people. Like, who knows? But I use those as examples of I'm dreaming bigger. I'm going beyond just offering daycare services, because I know that these are other services that my parents would enjoy, that it would add value, not just to my business, but also to the community to be able to have something like that. It also helps secure that the funding opportunities and financial stability. When I have gone for either like loans with the state or grants or things like that, like they want to see my finances. They want to say, hey, before we hand you over a bunch of money, like, are you making money? Like, are you being like, do you have all that stuff together? And I understand the days with staffing patterns and signing kids in and out and that sort of thing. I know that is a priority for daycare and for licensing. But from a business standpoint, from that CEO, CFO, we want to make sure that we have a variety of funding opportunities so it can create stability. And lastly, be able to help your business kind of handle challenges. My business, we started a year or two before COVID. I'm not saying something like that's going to happen again, but we want to make sure that our businesses are, recession proof, that they are pandemic proof. And childcare is one of those things that like we have to have daycare. Like we, in Maryland, if any of you guys were still open, I mean, if you remember, like they were paying for essential employees for their daycare. And we've gotten, at least our daycare has gotten a ton of money from the state, from different federal programs for sustainability. That was all like federal COVID stuff. I could have started any type of business. I was a school teacher. I wanted to start my own business. I could have opened a restaurant. I literally could have done anything, but I chose daycare. And I'm very glad that I did, because daycare is one of those industries that like, even when people don't have the money, like they still have to send their kids to daycare. Like they still got to go to work, right? So you're already in the field that is going to help you with these, navigate, any type of like economic climate. But having that strong business plan is really going to help you feel confident and not worry about, oh, what if we go out of business? You're not going to go out of business, right? You like parents, we need, like, you're in demand. So I saw some people pop in the comments. Oops. Right, yeah, that part. And we're going to get into this. She said she wants to be able to run it, but have staff that she doesn't have to be there every day. And I know that's right. And we're going to get to that when it comes to hiring folks. So step one, talking about identifying like what I have reliable, guaranteed income sources. So I know there's some debate about the Childcare Scholarship Program in Maryland, but I want to give some context. So there are some states that don't even offer anything like that, or they have to like hardly make anything. I was talking to a lady in Orlando, and she said you have to pretty much not work in order to get this type of benefit, which is ironic because this is the type of service that somebody who's working would need. And in Maryland, I don't know if you've taken a look at the income statements. We have it on our website, like the little table, and you can actually make a good amount of money and still be able to qualify for childcare scholarships. So Maryland's really lucky about that. I was talking to somebody in Louisiana, and they said that there was a wait list of like 3 years. So, I mean, like, we're just really lucky that we, as business owners, as childcare owners, that we even have that option to participate in programs like this. So I understand that it can be a headache, and I understand sometimes the checks are late and things like that. But me making the decision as a business owner to really tap into these funds really helped with other avenues of funding. I'm
Mhm.
not saying COVID's going to happen again, but us being taking vouchers before, or the scholarships before COVID happened, made the whole uh like COVID pay, it was a lot easier. Like we didn't have to do anything extra. Like we were already in their system. When we have gotten loans and other money and like bonuses and things from the state, it just makes it a lot easier because we're already in the system. The next thing that I recommend doing, and this is where you start shifting from the CEO mindset to like a CFO, the chief financial officer, really start paying attention to where the money is and other places you can find it. So following the money by paying attention to legislation. So some of you might already be members of some of these organizations. Like I'm a member of the Council for Exceptional Children. I'm not necessarily saying it was worth my membership. I don't really know. I don't know if it was worth my membership. However, I am on the email list. I also am on the email list, the National Association for Education of Young Children. So even if you don't want to invest in membership, which is fine, get on their email list, because I'm gonna tell you what I saw last month. So we are a registered apprenticeship with the state of Maryland, and that is something you can do at your daycare. If you were a teacher, you can have an apprentice. It's not free labor, but it is if you're looking to cultivate a staff and you can kind of teach them and kind of raise them, so to speak, to be the kind of teacher you want them to be. Apprenticeship is a great opportunity. But we became an apprenticeship with the state, and that month I got an email from the CEC saying
Now,
that
just listen to this girl
they
talk
have
about opening
introduced.
a childcare
Sorry, their
business.
sounds on. Okay. Um, anyway, there's a bill that's been introduced in DC to provide federal funding for daycare centers that offer apprenticeship programs. Now that's a
Mhm.
federal program. So I am, emailing my senators and my my representatives in DC and saying, hey, like, please make sure you vote for this. And I'm staying on them. Like whether I take one, every other week, I'm sending emails, hey, is there anything you need? Like, do you need more information? We need this in Maryland, and really advocating for that federal bill, because that's going to benefit my business. But I wouldn't
Yeah.
have known anything about that if I wasn't subscribing to these emails. So this is something that you can do that is free. I know when you're starting a business, you're just trying to keep the lights on. I have been there and done that. I get it. Email lists. And I know you get a million emails, but there's just certain emails you want to make sure that you're opening. Like I always say, open up your Tuesday tidbits, because I find money in there all the time. So, and just like this is valuable information. It might not be, direct money, but nonetheless, I keep an eye on it. And that's workforce development money, right? There's education money, like just, keep your eye on some of these things. Um, so like with this one, the apprenticeship fund, and then the advocacy groups. So if there are, and we've talked about this before, if you've been in another training with me, if there is a vulnerable population that you are really interested in helping, I am very passionate about young families, single moms, kids with disabilities. So I'm always looking, but you might be, your heart might really want to help like senior citizens who are looking for, work. Unfortunately, senior citizens aren't always able to retire, or maybe they just want to get out of the house. And having somebody maybe work part-time for you, a senior citizen, just want to come and just, snuggle on some babies, that might be exactly what your business needs. But there might be some federal funding coming down the line, maybe a tax credit, maybe something, or veterans, just some type of vulnerable population that maybe you can help. But if you're following these different like advocacy groups and these email lists, you might be able to find some money. Okay, now I'm gonna jump into just me about why I chose government funding. When I say government funding, I mean using the state scholarships over cash payments. Um, for me, this is just me. The pros were guaranteed that I was gonna get the money. I've had parents, with the, oh, I can't pay this week, I can't pay this week, and then my kind heart gets the best of me, and I've had parents leave me with very large balances. So I just really work hard to get them on their vouchers, because I'd just rather get a check from the state than have to chase down parents. Now the cons is that you have to prepare for delayed payments. You have to prepare for the true up payments. And what I had to do, and I had to take about 3 weeks to do this, is I have my, like, the check that comes out on the first, I pay the end of the month bills with those, right? So I'm not stressing until the 15th. Like I've got the check, it gets put out the first. I might get it the 5th or 6th. It's fine because I'm using that for the end of the month. my 15th check, the month one that comes out on the 15th of the month, I use that for the beginning of the month. So that's just something I did to kind of help. And I just synced things up with the different payment cycle, the payment cycles of the checks to try to help. Because that was probably my biggest issue is I was stressing out because the check wasn't coming fast enough. But once I reworked when I'm paying my bills, I don't have that issue anymore. I did see some comments. We got somebody trying to start a childcare. Do we sign in? Oh, no, you don't need to sign in. No. Okay. I'm trying to talk a little faster. I don't want to keep you guys too late. All right. So diversifying your streams of income. Okay. So we talked about tuition. Um, looking at grants. Now, if you were in my grant conversation a couple weeks ago, I did share with you guys that I was able to get a grant from MSDE to be a therapeutic childcare center. And we just got the letter yesterday saying we were approved for this year for $333,000. And we're a small daycare center, so it was nothing but God. But that's a lot of money, right? And we were able to get that through MSDE. And they didn't even open that grant up this year. So like there was definitely like, thank God. Another area you might be able to look for grants is your workforce development. If you become an apprenticeship program with the state of Maryland, you might be able to tap into some of that money. I don't know any specifics right off the top of my head. I do know that they have some like tax credits, and they also have some programs where your apprentice can have their classes reimbursed. And I believe if they've been with you for like a year, and then they have another one that like if somebody was in foster care, I believe it pays it all as well. Another area is urban development, community building, the neighborhood housing, like any of those agencies with the state, keeping an eye on them. Again, you want to get on these people's email list and you want to be paying attention to when they have money coming out. Looking for community grants and targeting underserved neighborhoods, also with your vulnerable populations. And this is where at some point you might want to think about having a sister nonprofit, but it's more like you got to have a board and you got to have all this other stuff. So like, don't do it until you got some time to really dedicate to it. But just like the big MSDE grant that we got, it was initially supposed to be for nonprofits. And I'll tell you exactly what I did. I saw it and I was like, man, we'd really be a good fit for this. So I emailed them anyway. And I said, hey, what are your thoughts? Like, is it you have to be a nonprofit? And this was April of 2023. And they emailed back and said, thank you so much for your email. Yes, it's only for nonprofit organizations. I said, hey, no problem. Let me know if anything changes. And in October, late September, October, they emailed me back and said, go on and apply. They changed the rule for me. You know what I mean? So I share that story to say, even with these little community grants, like community foundations, things like that, if it's going to target it's going to support your families. So whether it's a food pantry or transportation services for, single moms, like whatever it is that you want to do, just ask. Put your name out there. Let them know what you're doing. Say, if anything changes, let me know. Because if the need is there, they may reconsider. I mean, they write the policy, they can unwrite the policy. They wrote the requirements, they can rewrite the requirements. And, I'm 2 years now, over $500,000 in grant funding from a grant that they said I couldn't even get to start with. But all I did was send out the email and I made that connection and say, hey, let me know if anything changes. And it did. So you never know. So I really like pay attention to grant opportunities in your area, especially start with a little $500 one, just something small, but just making that connection and letting them know like, hey, I might be a for-profit business, but I'm here to help families. I'm here to help the community. You guys let me know if anything comes up that might, be able to fit me, and something might come up. And then consider nonprofit models if your services align with community needs. And so what I mean by that is kind of pay attention to what other nonprofits are doing to service their community, to service those populations and how they're funding them. It's not about looking at them and trying to copy. It's really just saying, okay, well, if they're able to offer that support, who's paying them? Like, how is that getting paid? I'll give you an example for us. We want to open an adult learning center that would have parents can come and use our facilities, our computers or whatever for 2-hour blocks, and then we'll have their kids on the other side. So it's not necessarily daycare. It's more like a gym. You come use our, equipment. We might have a class here and there, and then we offer, just some childcare. It's not necessarily daycare. But there are agencies in our area that do offer adult education. So I'm like, who's paying them? Who's funding that program? And then I follow the money, right? And then I set up meetings. So we had a meeting with adult education program with the state of Maryland. It was the first meeting, I'm sure the first of many. But I want to find out if we can get a contract, if we can get our program funded so that we can offer that service as well. Because I know it's of need, and I'm sure the programs that they already have are either full or you have people who need daycare, and so they're not going to these things. Oh, thank you, Candace. Where do we look for grants? Everywhere. I look everywhere. I like this one was MSDE. I found it. I want to say it was in Tuesday Tidbits, if I'm being for
Mhm.
real.
Okay.
Um, but like I said, I follow all of these different like government agencies. So I just did one. It was on the 15th. It was a community like improvement from like the housing development group with the state of Maryland. It's something along those lines. But I look outside of MSDE. So I'm looking at workforce development. I'm looking at community development because daycare is part of the infrastructure of the state. We help, Maryland runs on daycares, right? So leveraging community involvement. All right, I'm gonna try to talk a little faster. Okay, so I know the day-to-day changing diapers, infant development plans, like I get all that is like really pressing. And yes, you have to do all that stuff. But take some time to network out with these folks. If you were in my other meeting or my other training, I talked a lot about the Judy Center. So we've started partnering up with the Judy Center. We're going to be part of a baby shower they're going to be doing. And we're also going to be working with a daddy, like a overnight camp thing that they're doing with dads next year. They did one this year. It was really successful, and we're going to help out. Um, but they have like a luncheon like quarterly, and it might just be
Hmm.
worth you getting a substitute and going just so you can meet all these people. And I met a lot of people and they were really excited about our program and they want to come do a tour of the daycare. And that's the school district we're going to be in. So like I'm really excited to like partner up with that local elementary school because we're evening overnight daycare. So we have a lot of school age kids. And really, like once you're a night watch kid, you're always a night watch kid. We've had kids that have gone through our whole program, became volunteers, and then were employed when they turned 16. So we
Yeah.
really like to make those bonds. And so we really like to work with our school system. So trying to find opportunities to go to these meetings, whether it's a board meeting, whether it's a luncheon or something, especially if they're free, go if you could go. But the other piece is that I always try to offer free information from a marketing standpoint, and I'll tap into that a little bit more. But just from a community standpoint, I don't always want to be. I got a daycare. I got a daycare. I offer a lot of information on the Childcare Scholarship Program. That was something I did when I first opened the daycare. I was printing out the packets. If you remember when they were paper pencil, I was printing out the papers. I was having parents come in. They were filling them out. We were helping them scan in. We were uploading stuff. We were faxing things. We were printing out electric bills and pay stubs. And that was a way for me to bond with my families. But also, I was doing a lot in the community. So I'd have people from Title Health, the hospital, sending me families, hey, they need help. Whether they came to me or not for daycare, they knew that they could contact me and I was going to answer and I could at least try to help them troubleshoot because I had done it so much with my families. People from shelters in the area. I've gone and done little talks with some of the families that were staying at a couple of shelters in the area. But this was over time of me constantly showing up and talking about the same stuff so that those different organizations knew, oh, Amy, oh, she's from Nightwatch. She knows about the voucher program. I'll send her to Amy. Oh, you're having trouble on the website. Send Amy. Amy can help you. Amy. And that was great. It helped us with the community, but it also helped me build bonds with my families. Any questions so far? Oh, okay. Sorry, Candace. All right. That was a private message. Okay. Marketing strategy. Okay. So going beyond social media. So this really goes along to what I was talking about what I would sit with the parents and help them go through that process. We had a Facebook page when we first opened. We no longer have a Facebook page. I was finding myself I don't know, I guess taking like the easy way out. Oh, post on social media. And I see a lot of like daycares in like other daycare groups on Facebook say, well, we just opened and I'm posting on Facebook. I'm posting on Facebook and I don't know what else to do. I'm like, there's 80 million other things you can be doing besides posting a post on Facebook, which is just, it's noise. You know what I mean? Like these parents want to know you. They want to meet you. I get all of my business from people Googling us. I get my business from the people at the health department knowing who we are, or at the local elementary schools, the homeschool navigators or liaisons or whatever they're called. Like they have my business cards. We're actually getting little media, I guess like outreach media kits, whatever, where I've got 10 flyers, 10 in English, 10 in Creole, 10 in Spanish, and we're taking them to the elementary schools because the guidance counselors are asking for them, the family navigators are asking for them, the student support, because they know us because we've been in the schools. My husband and I, we mentor in the schools, so we go see our kids. So we've been building all of this. So this all rolls together. But going beyond social media and just letting people see your face, this is post-COVID. So like, let's get outside, let's go into the schools, let's go to these events, host events, consider maybe hosting something on Saturday. If you have like a center, like a commercial center, maybe having events. We had an event on Saturday. And again, we don't have a Facebook page. I did post in strategic Facebook groups an Eventbrite link. Eventbrite is free if you are giving away free tickets. That's what I use. So I could track and see how many were coming. We sold out. I had 25 tickets for strangers. And then we had, of course, our parents. And we had a family come that didn't make a ticket. She just happened to call and say, hey, is it open to the public? Absolutely, come on in. And not only did their family have a great time, but they were looking for work. So it was like a boom, boom. We're about to move. I'm like, yes, we're going to need help. So, we made that connection. But I love this idea of just like more in-person marketing. If you have a family, just a home daycare, like a family center, something I would do is maybe host a Sunday dinner from time to time and just have the families come over, put something on the crock pot, and they can just come over and meet you and just kind of be in your space, and you can love on them and really just kind of show like, okay, this is the loving environment that your child will have. Even at my daycare center, because again, we're evening overnight, so we're having dinner around 5 o'clock or so. We have one little girl, sometimes her mom picks her up around 5 or so, and we save her a plate. So come on in, mom, and she'll sit down with us and she'll have dinner. And it's just part of something that we want to offer because it's not about money. We want to love on these parents. I love my daycare parents. I do not play about them. I love them. I go to IEP meetings with them. I mean, if they need anything and we have it, we've helped a parent who her car window got shot out once. And we were able to, like, by the grace of God, because we had it. If we have it, it's on, electric bills, groceries, whatever. We just love our moms and all of our, well, dads too. But it's more than just social media. And like I said, I haven't gotten any business from Facebook. I get it from going outside, making these connections and really loving on parents. And then they stay with us. They tell people about us. And that's what we do. All right. So understanding your competition. And I want to preface with the fact of, we want to understand our competition because we want to know where are there some holes. We don't want to look at other businesses and say, oh, I could do that better. I know that somebody could open another, overnight daycare. They could open one. But I know that the way we do things, I am so confident that none of my parents will leave. Like we're at capacity. Open one. That's fine. Like I'm not worried about it. I know that I've spent a long time really having our special sauce. Maybe you heard me just kind of drop it in there, but my husband works with us. He's one of our teachers. So having a male there we actually have 2 guys that work there, and we're going to be bringing on our nephew with our apprenticeship program in January. So that's going to be a 3rd guy. And so we just have all this special sauce. I hired my mother-in-law earlier in the month. And so we have like the grandma energy. It's a real family vibe there, even though that it is a commercial daycare center. So you want to research what other centers are doing so you can fill in the gaps. And that's what we were able to do. A lot of daycare centers, some of them open early. They can do the before and after school care. But the parents that have to be at work we had one grandma, she had to be at work at like 4 a.m. So she's dropping little mama off at 3:30 a.m. We were able to accommodate that. And then of course our parents that are working that 2nd and 3rd shift, we were able to fill in the gaps for that. Then the other piece was, like I said earlier, being able to be of service with the information. So this was something that I did. I became that childcare scholarship lady. Like, go to her. I've got folders. Of course, they're going to have Night Watch stickers on the front, but I was going to have again, back when it was paper and pencil, I was printing out all the applications so that people could do things. And I was putting my business card in there, and of course, give me a call. And I had it where they could book a call with just a free, on Calendly or like whatever kind of calendar thing that you use. Do we have anybody on? Okay. Sorry. Anyway, that's was something else we were able to do that I know that other daycare centers weren't offering it, because I would hear from daycare parents, I've been going to this daycare for, since, for 3 years, and I didn't even know this was a thing. And I'm thinking to myself,
Hmm.
like, do they accept the vouchers? Well, yeah, I asked them, they do accept them, but like nobody was sharing this information. And to each his own, I'm not judging anybody's business. I just thought to myself, that's interesting that you didn't even mention and let your parents know that they could be getting free daycare. So that was
Right.
something that we were able to do. It was a niche and it was successful.
Right.
Okay. Then we're going building partnerships beyond childcare. So I will talk day and night. You can look at MSDE, you can check your Tuesday tidbits, but I'm finding money at the Department of Labor. I'm finding money over in community and urban development. If you're passionate about working with, seniors, if you're passionate about having vets come and work at your center, being able to look outside of the education bubble for these things. So connecting with local businesses and organizations, this really goes down to me knowing my parents and knowing what they need. And a lot of my parents, we live on the Eastern Shore, my parents lack access to behavioral services for their kids, which led me to doing the therapeutic child care center where we focus on kids with emotional needs. We have a music therapist come in. We have a new therapist that's going to be coming in that does all these different assessments, does behavior therapy. We're really excited to partner up with her, and I would not have been able to do that without that grant. So, but I have been over the last couple of years building these relationships with different mental health organizations so that when parents come to me and say, "Hey, they're telling me I got to drive to Kennedy Krieger, 2, 3 hours away for this service," and for me to be able to say, "Hey, no, I know a new one. She's right down the street. Here's her information. Here's her name. Tell her Amy sent you." But that takes time with the networking. But I want to make sure that I have kind of a list of what my parents need. Another need, I like to have some people over at the excuse me, like the neighborhood housing people to help folks with housing because that has also been a need of some of my parents. But then also more fun stuff. So I have some parents that are not having those 5 alarm fires, but are ready to go on vacation, are ready to buy a house. So I want to make sure that I have making network connections for those as well. The participating in different types of boards. I'm not a member of the Chamber of Commerce, but I like to be on their email list because I still like to know what's going on. But I would suggest taking a look at your county or your city website and finding out what types of boards and commissions either are taking volunteers or have open meetings. So even if you're not a member, you can still attend. You just don't have voting privileges, which is fine. I go because I want to meet people. I want to go because I know that there's going to be a city representative there. I know that there's probably going to be somebody from the central office over at the Board of Ed. So that is why I joined those. And engaging with local leaders and decision makers to increase visibility. So going to your county council meetings, going to your city council meetings, wherever, if you live in a city or a county, is important. I'll share a story. I think I might have shared it when I was talking about government contracts a few weeks ago. So our city council president, he knows, he's been seeing me. He knows what I'm doing. He knows I'm the daycare lady. He knows all this, that, the other. And he came to me and said, the city is considering maybe opening a daycare for city employees. If that were to happen, you're on a short list of, because we know what you're doing. We know you already have one. So we may bring you in for a conversation. I didn't go back to him and say, "Oh, let me know. I didn't do all that. What I said was, an issue might be that your the city employees don't know about the Child Care Scholarship Program. So again, I offer a service of like, hey, I'd be happy to meet with them, or here's the link if you want to share it with them. That might be a boundary from them getting daycare, because he had shared with me that like they were struggling to pay for it. So a lot of them weren't coming back from maternity leave. And I was like, well, they need to apply for scholarships. So I was engaging with local leaders and again, just establishing that expertise of like, if anybody has questions about that program, let me know and I'll do what I can. But I wasn't being like really salesy. Okay, now developing a winning team. Should we not have any questions? Additionals? Okay. Okay, so we know in daycare, you have to have certain credentials in order to be the teacher, right? But a mistake I made was only looking for those things. That was a mistake I made very early on, is that I was just looking for folks that had the credentials. And then I figured, okay, we'll build a team from that. And it left me with people quitting, people that have been with me for years quitting, no notice. And that's okay. That's okay. We're adjusting and that's okay. What I have started looking for are those things beyond like that traditional teacher, like the credentials. So I want somebody that knows how to be a manager. So we hired one of our daycare moms who used to be a manager at McDonald's. She had zero experience working in childcare, but she had a little boy. and we hired her, and she's amazing. She's my center manager. She's been with us for almost a year. She's in an apprenticeship program to become a teacher. And so, yeah, we have to wait for her to have her experience, but she has made my life a million times easier because she's amazing. And she also speaks Spanish. She's from Mexico. So she has bilingual capabilities as well, and offers our program a bilingual, like an immersion program. So if I was just looking for people who had the teaching credentials, I'd have missed out on something like this. And it also might have made me not promoted her the way I have, because it's like, well, she can't be a director and she can't be a teacher. So how can I move her into leadership? Because I can, and I'm the boss, and I did it, and it worked great. Some other things you want to be thinking about is, even if they're not a teacher just yet, like say you hire somebody that doesn't have a high school diploma, and the best, they're just going to be an aide in your program, but they are phenomenal with leadership. They are super creative. The only thing they didn't do was get their high school diploma for whatever reason. Okay. Are you as an owner, as a CEO, if you see these things in them, like let's say they have like amazing clerical skills, like they can have your files ready to go, or they're great with like talking with parents, or they're excellent on social media, or like not social media, but like your website, and they're real good on the computer. Like, are you going to not use them? You know what I mean? Like not promote them up. So thinking about other types of roles like an administrative assistant or community liaison. So in the eyes of licensing, they're still an aide, but in your company, they can be so much more. Like I'm grooming her to be like my CEO. Like I enjoy the CFO stuff. I like going and hunting for money. Like I enjoy that piece. But I'm very much looking to her for either be my probably COO. I'm sorry, not CEO. For her to be a COO, the person that handles all the day-to-day, the chief of operations. That's what I'm looking for out of her down the road. But if I was just like, oh, she has to be a teacher first, I feel like it would have like it wouldn't have been smart for me. Like I'm glad that we decided to go a different route where she can have the success and use her skills. Like I don't have to wait for her to finish this apprenticeship program. She's already hit the ground running, making great money, helping us grow. We're going to move into the new center. Like she's fantastic. And ultimately you want to hire people who align with your vision and can grow your center. Okay. I'm going from personal experience here. Sometimes you just got to pray them out. Sometimes you just got to release people with love. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's going to be an adjustment, like when I decided that we were going to head in one direction with my center, I knew that there was going to be people that quit. I didn't take it personally. I knew God was going to send me the people I need, which is why at the very beginning of this, I talked about your real big vision. Like you need people that are going to help you get there. I need people that are going to help me have this huge, with the agriculture and the big center and multiple centers and all of these different things that I want to have. I need to have people that are going to help me grow it, not just do the day to day. And I'll say one more on this. This is a long game with this. Because remember, I'm not hiring people that have all the experience that are qualified teachers in the eyes of the Office of Childcare. Like we're having them on as aides or teaching assistants. But we're getting them the classes they need. We're getting them into apprenticeship programs. I'm looking for funding and money to be able to pay for their classes. So yeah, I might have to wait a year. I might have to wait a year and a half, like however long it takes. But I know that down the road, this is going to build the strong team. The other thing is we've been going into the high schools along with the apprenticeship program, talking about my nephew. He's only a junior. So we're going into the high schools. We're doing career talks. I'm doing a job fair at a local high school in 2 weeks. Like I'm going into the high schools and getting kids excited about childcare. It's a long game. Right. So I found myself getting frustrated with my current situation and having trouble finding staff that were qualified and ready to work. It was either one or the other. They were qualified or they were ready to work. I wasn't getting both. So I just had to sit back and say, all right, Lord, like long game, and the patience is going to get there. But like the people that I've hired that were like fantastic and had the leadership and all of that, like we're about to come up on a year. Like it's been a year already. And I'm like, okay, like I would have missed out if I had just only looked at like hiring qualified teachers. Okay. All right. I mean, where we got last. Okay. All right. I don't want to keep you guys too long. All right. So getting the most out of your professional development. So I know that I know they're not doing me like the accreditation for like teachers this year. I think they're going to start it again next year. And a lot of those classes are like, stuff for the kids, right? But I want you to be paying attention to other stuff. So the fact that you guys are here tonight, beautiful, right? Because this is not something like you're not going to take this and get like like credits towards your, with licensing. This is just for you to say, hey, like I want to do some other stuff in my business. So I want to get some more information. Some of this stuff can be free. Like tonight is free. So hop on all the free stuff, watch the YouTube videos, the podcast, all of that. But when you can, maybe start putting aside some money and budgeting for bigger conferences that you can go to. We went to a legislative summit in DC. It was a special education legislative summit. And I went because we have a lot of school age kids and we're a therapeutic child care center. I gotta turn this air on. I'm sorry. I'm sweating to death. It's so hot. How is it 80 degrees outside? It's October. Anyway, but we went and it was of high value because I got to meet my legislators. I got to meet some other educators from all across the country, and not just people who are working in childcare, like, working in childcare, working in elementary schools, behavior centers. Got to meet some people from Kennedy Krieger. So it was definitely worth my money to go. It wasn't cheap, but the connections I'm making, the things I'm learning about laws and bills. And remember, I told you follow the money, right? So I'm like, I could go to other conferences, but I want to go and find out where the federal money is. I want to go and figure out how these laws get passed. Because if I don't like something, who do I got to talk to? All right. I don't want to just hear no. I don't just want to hear, oh, well, that's the law, that's the rule, that's the regulation, that's it. No, that's not it. Because just like I said earlier with the grant, if it can be written, it can be unwritten. So advocating and knowing who you need to talk to so you can move past some of those frustrations and really be that advocate that you want to be for your families. It might take a couple years, but again, we're okay with long-term, right? And then signing up for professional email lists. Even if you aren't part of their program, you're not a member or whatever, like, please sign up for their email list because I find free stuff in there all the time and just extra information. And sometimes they have free trainings and you'll get some continuing education hours. So I kind of get, it might just be one, but like I kind of rack them up as the year goes on. Yeah. Okay. So some final thoughts and action steps for the next 30 days. And then I think we're going to get into Q&A. Yep. Okay. Try to attend one community event. I would suggest looking on Eventbrite, and look for something free that you can go to. And it doesn't have to just be education. It can be family. I'm going to like a trick or treat at our local prison in Westover. But they're having a community event and we're going to bring candy and all that good stuff. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow, and it didn't cost us anything. They sent us a flyer, asked us we wanted to come. I think they sent them to all the daycares. Going to one of those, like a board meeting with your school district, or showing up, even if it's Zoom, you know what I mean? Just take a step and just go and just listen and see what's going on. The other thing you can do is research some of these committees or organizations your business could join, even if you're just joining the email list. If you were at my other trainings with Maryland Capital Enterprises, making like that could be something, signing up with them. And it's called, if you weren't at those, it's called Maryland Capital Enterprises. That's not my organization, but that's how some of you guys found me. But that's a way you can join for them for free. And they have a ton of free other business classes that are for a bunch of other stuff, but that's definitely something you want to maybe look into. And subscribe for those professional organizations. Just get on those email lists. Okay, so we'll do a Q&A and some next steps. So I'll stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay. And if anybody has any questions, come on. Okay, if anybody has any questions, you can unmute yourself. If anybody's finding they can't unmute themselves, send me a message and I'll adjust.
Amy. Amy, I had a question. Did I say your name right?
Yeah, Amy.
Oh,
Yep.
awesome. First of all, I'm really appreciating all of these sessions that you're giving.
Yes,
And I'm doing my research on everything. And thank you for that. The question I have, I hear you said, go here and go there. My question is, where in the world, I guess you have staff so you can get away from the child care, but what advice do you have for, the child care providers that's actually working one-on-one with the child care? Some of these things I would love to, go and take part of, but you just can't get away with the children.
Yeah. Well, some of them record the sessions and then you can watch them later.
Okay.
And then some of them have them in the evening hours. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
I was talking about the community partnerships. I hear
Oh,
you
okay.
saying, just go up, and I'm hearing it through the whole thing. Just go, just go.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. And there was times where I couldn't go either. But if you know it's 2 months from now, is it
Right.
possible that you could get a substitute? Would it might be worth it to you to do a half day. And as long as you're letting your parents know ahead of time, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and you have that good rapport with them, and you're not doing it all the time. But like the Judy Center, for instance, I went because they were having a luncheon, but it
Yeah.
doesn't, it's okay if I didn't go. I'm on her email list.
Right.
I'm on her radar. So when they do have events, at least I know about them. And
Hmm.
I can still participate, whether I'm doing sending her, they do like a survey where they ask questions and then they record it. Like even if it's an in-person event. So the in-person event I went to, they had the computer up and there were people joining in via Zoom. So, and then they recorded it so you could get it later. So just being on those email lists is definitely a good start. If you're like, there's no way I can get away for any of this, get on their email list and ask them about recorded things that you can get later. That would be my first step.
Okay. And our Judy Center is totally different now.
Okay.
I was partners with Judy Center for ever since I've been open.
Say that
And
last
so
part.
now I said ever since I've been open at the Judy Center. And so last year they did a new thing now that you can't be a partner unless you have a child, a child that's in daycare that's actually participating in the Judy Center. So they kind of switched out partnership around this year, and they said it was coming through the MSDE.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So they said that you can't even attend like a event or anything if
You
you don't
couldn't
have
be a
any.
you couldn't well, yeah, I know them personally, but you couldn't be a partner. We used to get partners down here in Maryland. Every year we used to get partnership letters, to
Oh,
that
okay,
we
okay.
and
I see what
Judy,
you're saying.
we were a part of the Judy Center because I know I hear you saying a lot, become a partner of the Judy Center, but now they just made it real slim and hard, for you to
Okay.
even a partner now.
Yeah. And when I said partner, I wasn't even talking about a partnership letter because I'm new to this, so I don't even know anything about a partnership letter.
Oh,
I just meant that we went and they said, hey, we're having these 5 events this year. What do you guys want to participate in? And I wrote our name under a couple of
oh,
them.
okay.
And then they're going to reach out and we'll be able to, whether it's we're buying things for the community baby shower or whatever. But the other thing is, and I don't know, like, I mean, our Judy Center lady, she is just so sweet and just she hugs everybody when they come in the room. She's so sweet. But if I were to have an event at my center and I had a couple other, she might send a representative, so if
Oh,
I wanted to, you know what I mean? Like it's worth a conversation.
right, right.
And if you're noticing, if you're like, hey, like my daycare could still benefit with a partnership, and you're noticing that this new policy,
Hmm.
get say something. You know what I mean? Like they wrote it into policy, they can unwrite it into policy. Find out why they did it. Get some other
Yeah,
daycare centers in the area and say, hey, look, hey, 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 just because we don't have kids in your district or going to your school yet,
right.
if you have 1 and 2 year olds, why would they be at the Judy? Why would they be at the
Exactly.
elementary school?
Exactly.
And so all of that information and stuff that you can bring up to the Judy Center, the people, MSD, like make your voice heard because they can change it. I'm not
Yeah,
going to do it overnight, but enough of y'all making
exactly.
noise, they'll fix it.
And so they got the whole thing now. Oh, just it's coming through the MSDE,
Mhm.
because we were all. I mean, it was so many childcare providers inside the Judy Center, so many of us, and
Yeah.
now they down to 2 and 3 when they had, all of the childcare providers in several zip codes and things in that
Mhm.
nature,
Yeah.
and it was just a mess.
Yeah. I would, and the Judy Center still comes under like the local board of education, right? Like ours are at elementary schools in Wacomico County. Is that how they do it where you are?
I don't. Well, our Judy Center is inside of a school, and so inside of it, they have Head Starts down
Right.
there and the pre-Ks.
Right. What county?
But we're in Baltimore City.
Oh, Baltimore City. Okay, so I would the next time they have a school board meeting,
Hmm.
I'd consider going and seeing if you can
Okay.
at least ask the question or email some of the board members. Like you can get their email address and just say, hey, I'd love to set up a call real quick. I'm a daycare center. I'm concerned about, the partnerships and getting the kids from me into school and just kind of the breakdown. And you bringing that information to them, then they can discuss it and then they can make changes.
Well, that's what they did. Okay, the people over top of the duty center.
Right.
I got,
Yeah.
I got.
The board of, and again, I could be wrong, but if they're in
Okay,
a school, the school district should have some say over, maybe have some say what's going on.
exactly.
And at
Think
least
it
be at
too.
least be a conversation to get started.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna ask. I know at the Judy Center personally, I've been a child care provider for 19 years, so I know them personally. And
Hmm.
this is the second year that I haven't been a partner of the Judy Center.
Yeah. Again, it's worth an ask.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that, Amy. You're
Okay.
absolutely
Will you let me know what happens? Because I'm nosy.
thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Anybody else? If not, that's okay. I won't keep folks.
I don't have a question, Amy. Dr. Amy, excuse me. I just wanted to thank you for lending your time and your expertise. And then I also wanted to just drop my email in the chat for anybody who may find interest in integrating arts with your centers. So I don't know if anybody on this call is familiar with the Baltimore School for the Arts. We're most notably known for Jada, Pinkett Smith, and Tupac, but we have a
Oh, that's cool.
phenomenal
Okay.
yeah, we have a phenomenal range. So I'm a director here. So I basically run the largest out of school time professional arts training for Baltimore City students in grades 2 through 8. However, I've been an ECE professional for the last 13 years. And so, like I mentioned in the chat to you, my center business plan has been ready, believe it or not, for 3 years. But life was lifing, right? The pandemic and all the things. So my center is arts based, but I would also like to stay connected with you all if you have any interest or inquisitiveness about having arts integration for your families, because I'm all about not gatekeeping these opportunities. So I'm gonna just drop my email in the chat if that's okay.
Of course it is. Thank you. Yeah, because we have a music therapist that comes. So I'm all down for like whatever we can do to get these kids to mellow out because they are so balled up. Like my
Yes.
kids, oh my goodness, they come from school and they're just we used to have dinner at 6 o'clock. We bumped it up to
Mm-hmm.
4:30 because they were so grouchy when they would come off
Mm-hmm.
the bus. I'm like, feed them.
Yep.
At this point, we just turn the church music on. We turn on some praise and worship
Yes.
and feed
I
them, and then
love
it's
that.
over.
Oh my gosh, I
And
love it.
now when the kids get grouchy, put the church music on. And we are not a
Mm-hmm.
faith-based center. All right. This is just
Mm-hmm.
something that God put it on my heart because I'm like, I'm not gonna have all this confusion and disruption and
Yes.
all right, leave that outside. But yeah, grab her email and Candace, yes, you and I definitely will be in touch. One
Okay.
last thing I am gonna share, and then I'll hop off with you guys is so I'm going to continue to have these for free. Okay. Because I know how it is with a business. If you've already signed up, so you might have seen this. If you've already signed up for one, you're going to get the email for all of them. Feel free to come to all or none. It's up to you. If there's any other sessions you'd like to have, like these were just some that I just was like, okay, let's just get something. I want you guys to have a space to get your questions answered and just keep the juices flowing. Because again, I'm so passionate about helping our families and I just want to love on them and just give them what they need. The biggest thing I hear is that these families, they say, especially the moms, they say, I have no village. I have no village. And I'm like, Night Watch is going to be the village. We're going to be the village. And I know that many of you want, some of you guys, I've been seeing your names each week. Like I know you're hungry and I know you want to do more for your family. So please hop onto these. These are be completely free. I'm always going to do them for free. If you are interested in just having a next step up, I have the CEO series membership, and this is just it's $19 a month and ain't even nothing heavy. So what would happen is I'd wrap up the call with everybody else, and then we would hop on another call and do about another hour Q&A, and it can be about what we talked about in the session. It can continue the center conversation. It can be about something we talked about weeks ago. It can be looking at your business plan. Like I really want it to be a space where every 2 weeks we can meet and you really can just start chipping away at those goals. You'll also get the recording of the webinar. So I did record this tonight. And then you also have a workbook. So what I do is I make workbooks that go along with each of these trainings, really for you've heard me run my mouth for an hour. You can kind of digest it and then have your workbook, and it has places for you to really start taking some of the ideas and things, because I'm sure you're a bunch of ideas running through your head right now. And you can start writing some of those ideas down. And you just start making a plan of action, because it can get overwhelming, especially when God has put something really massive in your heart and it's going to cost you, $500,000, $5 million in 10 years of your time. It can be very overwhelming. So being able to kind of scale back and just take it one day at a time, because we don't want all of those blessings to overwhelm us, because we can still, we want God to be able to move with us. Okay.
Dr. Amy, I have a question. Would you be
Yes,
able to coach us? Would you be able to help coach us with the grant writing and things like
absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
that?
Could I
Yeah.
share? Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
something that I would love to get into the membership, because it's a whole lot of information, and I've been still studying the information that we had last week, just
Mm-hmm.
writing notes and things like that, and it really just got me thinking outside of the box. It
Good.
really did. I want to thank you for that.
Of course. Yeah. And that's exactly what it can be. So, like I said, we'll have a topic every 2 weeks. I'll wrap up with everybody else, and then we'll hop on and you bring out your notes. And, if you find something, if I see something, because I'm constantly looking for money, because it's out there. And with it, the Bible talks about, like, God's going to release the money of the wicked for the people who want to do his work. And so I'm just going to apply and
Exactly.
so,
The wealth
but, yep.
is laid up for the just.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I'll let you guys go, and I'll be sending out an email with more information if you guys want to hop in this membership. And then if not, I will see you guys in 2 weeks, and you all have a great night.
You as well.
Thank you. See ya.